Remember this: no one is coming to save you. No circumstance, no government, no opportunity, no mentor, no lucky break will ever create your success for you. The world does not reward potential. It rewards decision, discipline, and definiteness of purpose. From the moment you were born, you were given the most powerful instrument ever placed in human hands, the mind. And yet, most people go through life never truly using it. They allow fear to make their decisions. They allow doubt to speak louder than desire. They wait for permission to become great. But success has never belonged to the many. It has always belonged to the few who understood one truth: only you can create your success. Every great achievement in history began as a thought in the mind of someone who refused to accept limitation. That person did not wait for perfect conditions. They did not ask for approval. They did not blame circumstances. They chose responsibility, and responsibility gave them power. If you want a different life, you must think differently. If you want freedom, you must discipline your mind. If you want success, you must claim it first, inside yourself. Because the moment you realize that your future is in your hands, excuses lose their power, and destiny begins to change. Success always begins long before results appear on the outside. It begins quietly, invisibly, in the inner world of thought. Long before a person changes their circumstances, they must first change their direction. And direction is impossible without clarity. A life without a clear purpose is like a ship without a destination, moving constantly, yet arriving nowhere. Most people wake up each day of a life instead of directing it. They respond to pressure, to bills, to expectations, to fear, to the opinions of others. They stay busy, but they are not progressing. Activity without purpose drains energy. Purpose without action builds power. This is why so many work hard their entire lives and still feel empty, frustrated, and unfulfilled. They never decided what they truly wanted. A definite purpose is not a wish. It is not hope. It is not something you say casually. It is a clear decision made by the mind and accepted by the emotions. When a person knows exactly what they want, the mind begins to organize itself around that goal. Thoughts align, priorities shift, time becomes valuable, distractions lose their grip. The same world exists, but the individual begins to see it differently. Indecision is one of the greatest enemies of success. It weakens the will and scatters energy. A mind that constantly changes direction never builds momentum. But when purpose becomes definite, hesitation fades. The mind no longer asks, "Should I?" It begins to ask, "How do I?" That single shift separates dreamers from achievers. A person with a clear purpose wakes up differently. They move differently. They speak differently. Even when they are afraid, they act. Even when results are slow, they continue. Purpose gives pain meaning. It transforms struggle into training and setbacks into instruction. Without purpose, obstacles feel personal. With purpose, obstacles become temporary. The world has always been controlled by people who knew where they were going. History does not remember the majority, it remembers the few who decided. Every fortune, every empire, every great contribution began as a definite aim held firm in the mind of one individual. That aim did not appear fully formed. It was refined through thought, reinforced through repetition, and strengthened through commitment. When purpose is unclear, the subconscious mind has nothing to work toward. It becomes idle, and an idle mind absorbs fear, doubt, and limitation. But when purpose is definite, the subconscious mind becomes an ally. It begins to notice opportunities others ignore. It connects ideas. It produces insights during quiet moments. It works even when you are not aware of it. Many people say they want success, but their desires are weak because they are undefined. They more money, a better life, or success someday. Such vague desires have no power. The mind cannot move toward ambiguity. It requires specificity, it requires a target. When the target is clear, action becomes focused. Energy stops leaking. A definite purpose also demands sacrifice. It forces a person to choose what matters and let go of what does not. Comfort often becomes the first thing to go. So does approval. Purpose does not ask if the path is easy, it asks if the destination is worth it. Those who lack purpose seek comfort. Those with purpose accept discomfort as part of the price. When purpose is strong, discipline becomes natural. You no longer rely on motivation, because purpose pulls forward even when motivation disappears. You do what must be done because there is something at stake. Purpose creates urgency. It turns time into something precious and procrastination into something painful. The greatest tragedy is not failure. It is drifting through life without ever committing to something meaningful. Drifting feels safe, but it slowly destroys confidence. Each year passes and the gap between potential and reality grows wider. Purpose closes that gap. It gives the mind a reason to grow and the soul a reason to endure. Clarity does not come from waiting. It comes from deciding. The moment a person decides what they stand for and what they are moving toward, they step into a position of power. The world begins to respond differently, not because the world has changed, but because the individual has. Purpose turns the ordinary into the extraordinary. The same skills, the same background, the same circumstances can produce entirely different results when guided by a clear aim. A person with purpose may start with nothing, but they possess the most important resource of all, direction. Once purpose is fixed in the mind, it becomes a lens through which every choice is filtered. Opportunities are judged by whether they align with the aim. Relationships are evaluated by whether they support growth. Time is invested instead of wasted. Life becomes intentional. This is why definiteness of purpose is always the first step. Not talent, not luck, not education. Purpose gives meaning to all of them. Without it, they scatter. With it, they compound. The moment a person accepts full responsibility for their life, something profound begins to shift within them. Power quietly returns to where it has always belonged. Responsibility is not a burden, it is a privilege. It is the moment you stop handing your future to circumstances and begin shaping it with intention. Most people spend their lives looking for someone or something to blame. They blame their parents, their past, the economy, the system, their lack of connections, or their bad luck. Blame offers temporary comfort, but it quietly steals control. As long as the cause of your situation exists outside of you, the solution must also exist outside of you, and that leaves you powerless. When responsibility is accepted, excuses lose their authority. The mind no longer asks, "Why did this happen to me?" Instead, it asks, "What can I do with what I have?" This shift does not deny hardship or injustice. It simply refuses to allow them to become permanent limitations. Responsibility does not change the past, but it changes how the past is used. The individual who accepts responsibility stops waiting. They stop hoping conditions will improve before they act. They understand that conditions rarely improve first. People do. Action becomes a habit, not a reaction. Even when circumstances are unfair, they choose progress over resentment. Responsibility sharpens awareness. It forces a person to examine their habits, decisions. Without responsibility, self-deception thrives. With responsibility, self-awareness grows. You begin to see how small choices repeated daily shape outcomes over time. You realize that success is not built in dramatic moments, but in ordinary decisions made consistently. There is a certain strength that appears when a person no longer needs to be right or justified. Responsibility removes the need to protect the ego. It allows learning to replace defensiveness. Instead of resisting feedback, the responsible mind uses it. Instead of avoiding mistakes, it studies them. Those who achieve lasting success do not see themselves as victims of life. They see themselves as participants. They recognize that while they may not control every event, they always control their response. That response, repeated over time, becomes character, and character determines destiny. Responsibility demands courage, because it removes all excuses. It leaves no one else to depend on. But in that loneliness, confidence is born. Self-trust grows when you prove to yourself that you can face reality without hiding. Each responsible choice strengthens belief in your own capability. When responsibility becomes a mindset, procrastination weakens. You stop postponing action because you no longer expect rescue. You understand that no one is coming to do the work for you. That realization can feel heavy at first, but it soon becomes liberating. You are no longer waiting, you are building. A responsible individual does not waste energy on comparison. They understand that another person's success does not limit their own. Envy disappears when focus turns inward. Progress becomes personal. Growth becomes measurable. Responsibility also refines desire. You begin to want goals that require effort, not shortcuts. You value mastery over appearance. You seek control over competence rather than approval. Responsibility matures ambition. When challenges arise, the responsible mind looks for solutions instead of sympathy. It asks better questions. It searches for leverage. It adjusts strategy without abandoning purpose. This mindset turns obstacles into training grounds and setbacks into instruction. The world often misunderstands responsibility. It confuses it with guilt or self-blame. But true responsibility is neither. It is simply ownership of thoughts, ownership of actions, ownership of results, ownership of growth. As responsibility deepens, discipline strengthens. You no longer rely on motivation or emotion to guide behavior. You act because it is required, not because it feels good. This consistency builds momentum, and momentum builds confidence. Over time, responsibility reshapes identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who reacts and start seeing yourself as someone who creates. Life feels less chaotic and more intentional. The future becomes something you move toward, not something you fear. This is the price of personal power. Those unwilling to pay it remain dependent. Those who accept it gain freedom. Everything that appears in your life first existed as a thought. Nothing materializes without passing through the mind. Wealth, poverty, confidence, fear, success, and failure are all conditions that begin internally before they ever take form in the physical world. The mind is not merely a tool for thinking. It is a creative force that shapes experience. Most people allow their minds to operate without direction. They think whatever enters, repeat whatever they hear, and absorb whatever surrounds them. Over time, these uncontrolled thoughts harden into beliefs, and beliefs quietly dictate behavior. A person may believe they are making free choices, but in reality, they are often obeying deeply rooted mental patterns they never consciously chose. Thoughts gain power through repetition. A single negative thought has little effect, but a thought repeated daily becomes a habit. A habit of thought becomes an attitude. An attitude becomes a personality. And personality determines how life responds. This is why two people can face the same circumstances and experience completely different outcomes. Their inner dialogue is different. The mind does not argue with repetition. It accepts it. Whether the thought is true or false, empowering or destructive, the subconscious mind absorbs it and begins to act upon it. This is why fear grows stronger when entertained and confidence grows stronger when practiced. The mind becomes what it is fed. Self-talk is the most influential voice you will ever hear. It speaks constantly, shaping perception and emotion. When that voice is negative, it magnifies obstacles and minimizes ability. When it is disciplined, it strengthens resolve and expands possibility. Mastery of the mind begins with awareness of this inner conversation. The subconscious mind works tirelessly, but it cannot distinguish between deliberate instruction and careless suggestion. It responds equally to intentional affirmations and unconscious doubt. When the conscious mind repeatedly impresses an idea, the subconscious accepts it as fact and begins to organize behavior accordingly. This is why environment matters. The people you listen to, the content you consume, the ideas you entertain, all of them plant mental seeds. Over time, those seeds grow into expectations. Expectations influence effort. Effort produces results. Results reinforce beliefs. A disciplined mind does not eliminate negative thoughts. It replaces them. Suppression gives thoughts power. Replacement redirects energy. When fear appears, it is met with instruction. When doubt arises, it is countered with certainty. This practice, repeated consistently, reshapes the inner world. Faith is not blind belief. It is the emotional acceptance of an idea that has been impressed upon the mind repeatedly. When belief reaches the level of feeling, action follows naturally. Effort becomes less forced. Persistence becomes more stable. Fear loses its authority. Imagination is the workshop of the mind. Every achievement is first constructed there. Those who understand this use imagination deliberately. They visualize outcomes, rehearse success, and mentally experience achievement before it becomes visible. This practice conditions the mind to expect success instead of resistance. The mind seeks harmony between belief and behavior. When beliefs are weak, behavior becomes inconsistent. When beliefs are strong, action becomes aligned. This alignment produces confidence that does not depend on external validation. Most limitations are not real. They are mental agreements accepted without examination. Once a belief is questioned, it weakens. Once it is replaced, it dissolves. The mind, when trained, becomes flexible instead of rigid, creative instead of fearful. A controlled mind does not react impulsively. It pauses, evaluates, and chooses. This pause is power. It allows reason to override emotion and purpose to override impulse. Over time, this self-command builds inner strength. The mind can be a prison or a pathway. It can confine a person to inherited limitations or guide them toward chosen outcomes. The difference lies in whether the mind is directed or neglected. Those who master their minds are not free from challenge, but they are free from confusion. They move forward with clarity, knowing that control over thought is the first form of freedom. Desire is the starting point of all achievement, but not all desire is powerful enough to produce results. Many people want success in the same way they want comfort. Casually, without urgency, without emotional commitment. Such desire fades quickly when challenged. Only a desire that is intense, focused, and emotionally charged has the strength to overcome fear, delay, and opposition. A weak desire speaks in possibilities. A strong desire speaks in certainty. When desire is backed by belief, it stops being a wish and becomes a command issued to the mind. The mind responds to what is felt most deeply, not to what is said occasionally. Emotion is the language of the subconscious, and faith is emotion directed toward expectation. Faith does not appear suddenly. It is built through repetition, consistency, and reinforcement. Each time an idea is held in the mind with conviction, it gains strength. Each time doubt is allowed to dominate, that strength weakens. Faith grows when attention is disciplined and scattered when attention is uncontrolled. Many people confuse faith with blind optimism. True faith is not denial of difficulty, it is certainty of outcome. It does not remove obstacles, it changes how they are interpreted. Where others see delay, faith sees preparation. Where others see rejection, faith sees redirection. Desire backed by faith reshapes perception. Opportunities that once went unnoticed become visible. Courage increases because the mind is no longer focused on what might be lost, but on what must be achieved. Action becomes more decisive, less hesitant. The subconscious mind accepts beliefs that are repeated with emotion. When desire is accompanied by strong feeling, it penetrates deeper layers of consciousness. Over time, the idea becomes part of identity. A person no longer tries to succeed, they expect to. This expectation influences behavior subtly but powerfully. Decisions are made with confidence. Risks are taken intelligently. Persistence becomes natural because quitting would feel unnatural. The mind aligns itself with the desired outcome. Fear weakens when confronted by belief. Fear thrives on uncertainty and hesitation. Faith replaces these with clarity and resolve. The presence of fear does not indicate weakness, surrender to fear does. Desire fueled by belief allows action to continue even when fear remains. Many abandon their goals not because they lack ability, but because they lose emotional connection. Desire must be renewed daily. It must be reminded, visualized, and reinforced. When desire fades, effort fades. When desire burns, effort becomes relentless. Belief also influences how failure is interpreted. Without faith, failure feels final. With faith, failure becomes feedback. Each setback is examined, adjusted for, and used as instruction. This mindset transforms temporary defeat into long-term advantage. Strong desire simplifies choices. Distractions lose their appeal. Short-term pleasures are easily sacrificed for long-term vision. The mind prioritizes what aligns with the dominant aim and ignores what does not. The world responds differently to those who act with conviction. Certainty communicates authority. Authority attracts cooperation. Cooperation multiplies results. This chain begins internally, with desire refined into belief. Faith strengthens resilience. When results are slow, belief sustains effort. When support is absent, belief sustains courage. When circumstances are discouraging, belief sustains vision. Desire backed by faith is not passive. It demands expression through action. Each action reinforces belief, creating a cycle of confidence and competence. The more one acts in alignment with belief, the stronger that belief becomes. This internal alignment creates momentum. Progress may be gradual, but it is consistent. Consistency builds mastery. Mastery builds confidence. Confidence strengthens belief. Desire, when clarified and emotionally supported, becomes a driving force that shapes identity, behavior, and outcome. Persistence is the quiet force that carries intention across time. It is not dramatic, and it is rarely celebrated in the moment, yet it is the quality that determines whether desire becomes reality or fades into regret. Many begin with enthusiasm, but only a few continue when enthusiasm disappears. That is where persistence reveals its power. Most people underestimate how long meaningful success takes. They expect quick validation and immediate results. When progress slows or resistance appears, doubt begins to whisper. Persistence is the refusal to allow doubt to become a decision. It is the ability to continue moving forward, even when evidence is limited and encouragement is absent. The first test of persistence often appears as delay. Nothing seems to happen. Effort feels wasted. Results are invisible. This phase defeats most people, not because the goal is impossible, but because patience is undeveloped. Persistence understands that growth occurs beneath the surface before it becomes visible. Every challenge tests commitment. The mind begins to search for escape, reasons to quit, distractions to pursue, alternatives that feel easier. Persistence requires mental discipline to return attention to the original aim. It is not stubbornness, it is controlled focus. Setbacks are inevitable. Failure is not the opposite of success, it is part of the process. Persistence reframes failure as instruction. Each attempt reveals what does not work, narrowing the path toward what will. Those who quit view failure as a verdict. Those who persist view it as data. Persistence is strengthened through habit. When action becomes routine, resistance weakens. Small actions performed daily build endurance. Endurance builds confidence. Confidence reduces the emotional impact of obstacles. Many people abandon their goals at the first sign of discomfort. Persistence accepts discomfort as evidence of growth. Effort stretches capacity. Difficulty reveals weaknesses that must be developed. Without challenge, persistence would have no function. The mind often seeks relief before reward. Persistence delays gratification intentionally. It values long-term achievement over short-term comfort. This ability separates those who drift from those who build. Persistence also requires adaptability. Continuing blindly is not strength. Adjusting strategy while maintaining commitment is wisdom. Persistent individuals remain flexible in method but firm in purpose. External opinions can weaken resolve. Doubt from others can infiltrate the mind if allowed. Persistence involves guarding mental space. Not every opinion deserves attention. Not every criticism deserves response. Fatigue tests persistence more than failure. When energy is low, discipline must carry effort forward. This is where systems matter. Clear routines reduce reliance on motivation. Consistent structure supports long-term effort. Persistence reshapes identity. Each time effort continues despite resistance, self-trust grows. You begin to see yourself as someone who does not quit. This belief strengthens future resolve. Breakthrough often arrives unexpectedly. It appears after long periods of effort, just beyond the point where most stop. Persistence positions you to be present when opportunity emerges. The world rewards those who stay engaged. Opportunities favor reliability. Results favor consistency. Persistence compounds effort over time, turning ordinary actions into extraordinary outcomes. It is persistence, more than talent or intelligence, that transforms vision into achievement. Self-discipline is the ability to direct behavior in alignment with intention rather than emotion. It is the practice of choosing what matters most over what feels easiest in the moment. Without discipline, desire remains abstract. With discipline, desire becomes structured action repeated daily. Most people rely on motivation to act, but motivation is unreliable. It rises and falls with mood, environment, and circumstance. Discipline operates independently of feeling. It functions on decision. Once a decision is made, discipline carries it forward regardless of emotional state. Daily action may seem insignificant in isolation, but its power lies in consistency. Small actions repeated over time produce compounding results. Discipline transforms effort into habit. Habit reduces resistance. Reduced resistance increases consistency. Discipline begins with control of time. Time, when unmanaged, dissolves into distraction. Structured routines protect attention and energy. When priorities are defined, decisions become simpler. Discipline removes negotiation from daily behavior. Emotion often competes with intention. Fatigue, boredom, and fear attempt to override purpose. Discipline trains the mind to act despite these influences. This training strengthens willpower, making future effort less demanding. Self-discipline also requires clarity. When goals are vague, discipline weakens. Clear objectives provide direction. Direction makes effort meaningful. Discipline thrives when it serves a defined purpose. Resistance often appears before meaningful work begins. Discipline does not eliminate resistance, it works through it. Each time resistance is overcome, confidence grows. Confidence reinforces discipline. Discipline shapes identity. Repeated disciplined actions create self-trust. You begin to view yourself as reliable. Reliability builds internal respect. Internal respect strengthens resolve. Discipline also involves restraint. Knowing when not to act is as important as knowing when to act. Avoiding distractions preserves focus. Focus enhances quality of effort. Consistency reveals progress. Progress reinforces belief. Belief strengthens discipline. This cycle creates momentum that carries effort forward even when challenges arise. Self-discipline requires boundaries. Clear limits protect time and energy. Saying no to misaligned demands creates space for purposeful action. Discipline enforces these boundaries without guilt. Effort becomes easier when systems support discipline. Structured schedules, defined routines, and clear standards reduce cognitive load. Discipline functions best within structure. Discipline does not demand perfection. It demands commitment. Missed actions are corrected. Notched recovery is immediate. Consistency resumes without self-criticism. Daily action aligns intention with reality. Each disciplined choice reinforces direction. Over time, these choices accumulate, shaping outcome. Self-discipline is not restrictive, it is liberating. It removes chaos and replaces it with control. Control creates freedom to pursue meaningful goals without distraction. No one achieves anything meaningful alone, even when the work appears solitary. Every mind is influenced, strengthened, or weakened by the minds it consistently interacts with. Human beings are not isolated thinkers. They are receivers and transmitters of mental energy. Whether consciously or unconsciously, the thoughts, attitudes, and beliefs of others shape direction and momentum. The mind absorbs suggestion constantly. Conversations, opinions, expectations, and emotional states pass from one person to another with ease. When surrounded by doubt, limitation begins to feel reasonable. When surrounded by ambition, growth feels normal. This is why environment is never neutral. It is either lifting you or lowering you. Those who rise deliberately choose the mental company they keep. They understand that alignment of purpose creates amplification. When two or more minds work in harmony toward a definite aim, a new level of intelligence emerges. Ideas sharpen. Courage increases. Persistence strengthens. What feels impossible alone becomes manageable together. Isolation weakens resolve over time. Without reinforcement, belief fades. The mind begins to question itself. Progress slows. Association with others who share similar goals stabilizes confidence. Shared purpose creates accountability. Accountability sustains effort. The quality of advice you receive determines the quality of decisions you make. Not all opinions are equal. Guidance from those without experience often reflects fear rather than wisdom. Intentional association filters input. It limits exposure to discouragement and increases exposure to constructive thought. Alignment does not require constant agreement. It requires shared direction. Diverse perspectives within a common aim strengthen strategy. Constructive challenge refines thinking. Mutual respect maintains harmony. This balance produces growth without conflict. The subconscious mind responds to dominant influence. When surrounded by discipline-focused individuals, discipline becomes easier. When surrounded by complacency, effort feels unnatural. Environment programs expectation. Expectation influences behavior. Association also shapes standards. Standards determine performance. When excellence is normal within a group, mediocrity feels uncomfortable. This pressure elevates effort. Growth accelerates. Support does not remove struggle. It sustains endurance. Encouragement at critical moments prevents retreat. Shared belief reduces emotional fatigue. The journey feels lighter when the burden is distributed. Choosing association is an act of discipline. It may require distance from familiar relationships that conflict with purpose. This distance is not rejection, it is protection. Mental space must be guarded with the same care as physical health. The mind mirrors what it observes. Exposure to ambition strengthens ambition. Exposure to resignation strengthens resignation. Intentional association ensures the mind reflects growth rather than limitation. Even solitary work is influenced by prior association. The voices internalized through interaction continue to guide thought. Choosing wisely determines which voices dominate. Progress accelerates when minds operate in harmony. Direction becomes clearer. Action becomes bolder. Persistence becomes shared rather than solitary. Environment, once chosen consciously, becomes an invisible ally, reinforcing belief, strengthening resolve, and sustaining momentum through challenge. Clarity of thought is one of the most underestimated powers in achieving success. The mind thrives on precision and purpose. When thoughts are scattered, goals become blurred, and action loses direction. Without clarity, effort is wasted, energy leaks, and potential remains dormant. Clarity acts as a lens, focusing mental energy on what truly matters and allowing the mind to operate with maximum efficiency. Most people confuse activity with progress. They move constantly, yet achieve little. The difference lies in focused intention. Clear thinking transforms motion into results. It allows you to distinguish between actions that contribute to your aim and actions that only create business. Effort without focus is like water poured on sand. It disappears without nourishing growth. Clarity begins with self-reflection. Understanding your strengths, weaknesses, values, and desires creates a mental map. This map guides choices and prevents distraction from trivialities. When the mind knows what it is working toward, decisions are faster, confidence is higher, and hesitation diminishes. A lack of clarity breeds fear and doubt. Uncertain minds imagine obstacles larger than they are. They assume limits where none exist. Clarity illuminates the path. It reduces uncertainty. It converts vague aspiration into actionable steps. The moment the mind can visualize exactly what must be done, hesitation loses power. Clear thought also amplifies creativity. The mind is like a machine when organized. It produces ideas efficiently. Chaos in thought produces scattered ideas, wasted effort, and inconsistent results. Clarity provides structure, allowing imagination to combine with strategy to produce solutions that appear effortless. Decisions, when made with clarity, carry authority. Indecision drains energy, diminishes confidence, and signals doubt to the subconscious. Clear thinking empowers decisive action. Once a decision aligns with purpose, the mind begins to work unconsciously to produce outcomes that support that decision. Momentum builds from this alignment. Clarity requires honesty. The mind must face uncomfortable truths about current limitations, past failures, and existing habits. Avoidance creates distortion, and distortion produces inaction. Courageous self-examination provides a foundation for genuine growth. Only when reality is seen clearly can it be transformed. Prioritization is a natural outcome of clarity. When the mind sees what is most important, trivial distractions fall away. Time is invested where it produces the greatest return. Energy is conserved for meaningful effort. This selective focus multiplies effectiveness far beyond simple hard work. Clear thought also strengthens persistence. When the mind knows exactly what it seeks, obstacles are interpreted as temporary detours rather than permanent barriers. The path may be difficult, but it is navigable. Every step taken builds confidence, reinforcing the belief that success is attainable. Clarity enhances communication. A person who thinks clearly conveys ideas effectively, inspires others, and attracts cooperation. Miscommunication, contrition are minimized. Influence grows because clarity inspires trust both internally and externally. Emotions, when guided by clarity, become allies rather than enemies. Fear is recognized, assessed, and addressed strategically rather than allowed to dominate action. Desire is focused and intentional. Frustration becomes a signal for adjustment rather than retreat. Emotional energy is channeled into productive activity rather than dissipated in chaos. The subconscious mind thrives on clarity. Repeated, precise instruction impresses it with actionable goals. Ambiguous or conflicting input confuses it, producing hesitation, doubt, and scattered effort. A disciplined mind, aligned with clear thought, transforms intention into consistent action. Clarity is not static, it requires continual refinement. As circumstances change, new information must be processed, and goals must be reassessed. Regular reflection keeps the mental lens sharp, ensuring that action remains aligned with purpose, and energy is always directed toward what produces real results. Clear thinking transforms potential into performance, dreams into plans, and plans into outcomes. It allows the individual to operate not reactively, but proactively, turning life from a series of coincidences into a deliberate process of creation. Persistence of vision is the force that keeps a person moving forward when the world insists on doubt. It is not merely seeing a goal, it is holding a vivid, emotional picture of success in the mind, so clear and that begins to influence every decision, every action, and every thought. Without this clarity of vision repeated daily, desire fades, faith weakens, and action becomes inconsistent. Most people underestimate how much of achievement depends on seeing the end before it exists. They focus only on the steps in front of them, reacting to immediate circumstances. This short-sighted approach allows fear, discouragement, and uncertainty to dominate. Vision, when maintained, pulls the individual past obstacles, beyond setbacks, and toward opportunity that is otherwise invisible. A persistent vision does more than inspire, it programs the mind. The subconscious mind cannot distinguish between reality and what is vividly imagined. When success is visualized with emotion, the subconscious begins to work to make it real. Thoughts, decisions, and actions all align with that image, often without conscious effort. This alignment transforms intention into habit and habit into results. Vision also strengthens resilience. Obstacles and failure are inevitable, but when the end is constantly in sight, they are perceived as temporary. They become tests rather than dead ends. Each challenge encountered is measured against the ultimate objective. Those with strong vision continue, adapt, and persevere while others succumb to frustration. The mind seeks consistency between belief and perception. Persistent visualization creates belief, and belief produces expectation. Expectation guides ways that align with desired outcomes. The person who sees their success daily is more likely to make choices, take risks, and act boldly in ways that support achievement. Vision thus becomes the blueprint for both strategy and action. Visualization must be precise. General wishes, like, "I want to be successful," carry little power. Specific images, detailed outcomes, and clearly defined objectives engage both the conscious and subconscious mind. The more real the mental picture, the more effective it becomes in shaping behavior. Emotional intensity is crucial. Feeling the success as if it has already occurred amplifies its influence. Persistent vision also combats negative influence. External criticism, doubt from others, and societal expectations cannot diminish the internal image if it is vivid and regularly reinforced. The mind anchors itself to the picture of achievement, and resistance outside becomes less impactful. Internal conviction overrides external noise. Habits are guided by vision. Daily actions, even the smallest, are selected based on alignment with the ultimate goal. When vision is absent, triviality dominates. When vision is present, each decision contributes toward progress, creating a consistent trajectory that compounds over time. Vision also generates creativity. The mind constantly searches for ways to bridge the gap between current reality and imagined success. Solutions, strategies, and innovations emerge from this continuous comparison. This is why many breakthroughs appear to happen suddenly. They are the result of persistent, directed mental focus long before the solution becomes visible. The emotional power of vision cannot be overstated. Hope without vision is weak, action without vision is aimless. Vision injects urgency and purpose into effort. It reduces procrastination because the mind constantly feels the pull of what is possible. The image of success becomes a magnet, drawing persistence, discipline, and focus toward it. Those who achieve remarkable results understand that vision is not passive daydreaming. It is an active mental rehearsal, repeated with intensity and clarity, and integrated into daily thought. Each repetition reinforces neural pathways, conditions behavior, and strengthens resolve. Over time, the subconscious begins to act in ways that make the envisioned outcome inevitable. Persistent vision bridges the gap between desire and reality. It transforms abstract goals into living targets that guide emotion, sharpen focus, and sustain action. Without it, energy is scattered, intention weakens, and obstacles seem insurmountable. With it, the impossible becomes possible, and the ordinary transforms into extraordinary. Opportunity is rarely obvious, and it is never permanent. It comes disguised as challenge, delay, or even failure, and it favors those who are prepared to recognize and act upon it. Many people overlook opportunities because they are looking for something easier, more obvious, or more immediate. The mind conditioned to persistence, clarity, and purpose, however, sees opportunity where others see only obstacles. Preparation and awareness are essential. Opportunity does not magically appear. It is recognized only by those who have trained their mind to anticipate it. A person who cultivates skill, knowledge, and understanding positions themselves so that when the moment arises, they can act decisively. The prepared mind moves quickly because hesitation has been minimized through discipline and clarity. Many fail to seize opportunity because fear dominates. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, or fear of stepping beyond comfort creates paralysis. Opportunity rarely waits for courage to catch up. The individual who has developed mental toughness and faith in their ability moves forward despite fear. They understand that the risk of inaction is far greater than the risk of attempting. Opportunity is cumulative. Small chances, when acted upon consistently, compound into significant breakthroughs. Many overlook the subtle openings in daily life, dismissing them as inconsequential. Yet repeated recognition and exploitation of small opportunities often produce more lasting results than one big break ever could. Persistence ensures that a person continues to encounter opportunities even when initial attempts fail. The subconscious mind plays a critical role in opportunity recognition. When the mind is focused on a definite purpose, constantly disciplined, and filled with clear expectation, it becomes alert to possibilities that others miss. The mind scans the environment unconsciously for patterns, connections, and openings. In this way, opportunity often seems to appear, when in fact it is the trained mind that perceives it. Opportunity requires immediate action. Recognition alone is not sufficient. Many people see potential but hesitate, analyze excessively, or wait for a perfect moment. The prepared and disciplined act swiftly, converting possibility into reality before circumstances change. In the world of achievement, speed of response is as critical as clarity of vision. Timing is inseparable from opportunity. Many fail because they act too late or too early. Persistence, combined with constant attention and readiness, allows a person to act at the right moment. Experience, observation, and disciplined preparation sharpen this sense of timing, turning ordinary encounters into transformative breakthroughs. Opportunity also comes through association. Being around the right people, those who are ambitious, knowledgeable, and connected, multiplies exposure to possibilities. Ideas, introductions, and resources often appear in the company of those aligned with growth and purpose. The individual who surrounds themselves with positive influence experiences more doors opening than one who isolates themselves. Seizing opportunity often demands adaptability. Rarely does the path appear exactly as imagined. Flexibility in approach allows a person to adjust methods without abandoning purpose. The disciplined and prepared mind sees how to modify action while remaining aligned with the ultimate goal. In this way, obstacles are reframed as openings, and unexpected circumstances become pathways rather than barriers. Opportunity is also cumulative in personal development. Each risk taken, each lesson learned, and each small success enhances judgment, confidence, and preparedness. This creates a feedback loop where the individual becomes increasingly capable of recognizing and acting on future opportunities. In essence, the more one practices seizing opportunity, the more opportunity seems to find them. Finally, opportunity is a test of character. It often requires courage, persistence, and moral clarity. Those who recognize opportunity but fail to act due to weakness of character forfeit potential gains. Those who combine awareness with disciplined action transform chance into achievement, setbacks into lessons, and fleeting moments into lasting results. The key principle is that opportunity rewards readiness, decisiveness, and alignment with purpose. Those who cultivate these qualities do not wait for opportunity, they attract it, recognize it, and act upon it consistently. This consistent action, guided by preparation and reinforced by clarity, faith, and persistence, turns what appears to be chance into a predictable path to success. Knowledge alone does not create success. It must be organized, applied, and combined with action to produce results. The accumulation of information without purpose is like collecting seeds without planting them. Potential exists, but nothing grows. Knowledge becomes power only when it is directed toward a definite objective, reinforced by persistence, and expressed through disciplined action. Many people equate learning with achievement. They study endlessly, read books, attend seminars, and gather advice, yet fail to translate insight into tangible outcomes. Knowledge, by itself, is passive. Its value lies in its ability to inform decisions, shape strategy, and guide action. Without application, knowledge remains dormant, like a dormant seed that never sees sunlight. Experience magnifies knowledge. Theory alone is insufficient because life rarely unfolds according to expectation. Those who combine learning with direct action develop wisdom, the ability to anticipate consequences, recognize patterns, and act effectively under pressure. Repetition, reflection, and refinement convert knowledge into skill, and skill into results. The mind must be trained to apply knowledge intelligently. Random effort produces random results. Knowledge becomes powerful when organized systematically, prioritized according to purpose, and applied consistently. Each piece of information should serve a specific goal rather than exist in isolation. This organization multiplies effectiveness and prevents wasted effort. Knowledge is also amplified through collaboration. No individual possesses all insight. Sharing ideas, learning from mentors, and engaging with others who have complementary expertise expands understanding. Masterminds, study groups, and advisory relationships convert individual knowledge into collective intelligence, producing solutions that surpass what one mind alone could achieve. Understanding the difference between specialized knowledge and general knowledge is critical. Specialized knowledge, applied to a specific purpose, has exponential value. General knowledge builds context and perspective, but without a target, it cannot produce concrete results. Those who achieve greatness identify which knowledge is relevant to their aim and pursue mastery in that domain. Action is the true test of knowledge. It is not what you know, but what you do with what you know that determines outcomes. Fear of failure, procrastination, or indecision prevents knowledge from becoming effective. Courage and persistence transform information into practical advantage. Each action reinforces learning, and each failure refines understanding. Continuous learning is essential because the environment is dynamic. Markets, technology, and human behavior evolve constantly. Knowledge that is not updated becomes obsolete. Discipline in acquiring, assessing, and integrating new information keeps the mind agile and responsive. This adaptability is a hallmark of those who remain consistently successful over time. The application of knowledge requires both mental and emotional intelligence. Rational understanding guides strategy, but emotional awareness guides timing, communication, and influence. Those who master both increase the effectiveness of their actions, turning insight into opportunity. Knowledge without emotional engagement often fails to produce meaningful results. The disciplined mind integrates knowledge with vision, desire, persistence, and self-discipline. Knowledge alone does not motivate, it must be combined with a definite purpose, emotional intensity, and sustained effort. When aligned, knowledge becomes a tool, a guide, and a multiplier of results. Finally, knowledge is powerful only when it creates leverage. It enables you to solve problems, make informed decisions, and generate value beyond what raw effort alone could achieve. The individual who organizes and applies knowledge instantly transforms learning into achievement, turning information into influence, skill into opportunity, and potential into measurable success. The secret lies not knowing more than others, but in knowing what to use, how to apply it, and when to act. Knowledge without application is dormant. Knowledge with purpose, discipline, and action becomes unstoppable. Imagination is the laboratory of the mind, the workshop where all achievement begins. Every invention, every enterprise, every breakthrough first exists as an idea before it appears in reality. The individual who understands this principle treats imagination not as idle fantasy, but as a powerful tool to design the life they intend to create. Without imagination, even the most disciplined mind remains constrained by circumstances, responding to life rather than shaping it. Most people underestimate the power of their own creative thought. They assume reality is fixed, that the world is unchangeable, and that opportunities must come from external sources. Imagination reveals that reality is flexible, that new paths can be forged, and that conditions can be influenced by deliberate thought. It transforms limitations into possibilities and problems into opportunities for innovation. There are two types of imagination: synthetic and creative. Synthetic imagination reorganizes existing ideas into new combinations. It is responsible for innovation, problem solving, and refinement. Creative imagination, on the other hand, is the faculty through which infinite intelligence or subconscious mind can be accessed. Both are essential, but they require training, discipline, and focus to be effective. The imagination must be directed. Random daydreaming has little value. Purposeful imagination visualizes outcomes in detail, anticipates obstacles, and plans strategies. It uses the mind as a laboratory, experimenting with scenarios before taking action. The more vivid and emotionally charged the mental rehearsal, the more the subconscious mind begins to align with the envisioned reality. Imagination fuels desire. A goal that can be clearly pictured becomes more compelling. When the mind repeatedly experiences the end result in vivid detail, the emotional intensity grows, strengthening faith and persistence. This internal experience begins to shape behavior even before external progress is visible. The imagination essentially programs the mind for success. Imagination also increases adaptability. Challenges, setbacks, and unexpected circumstances are inevitable. A trained imagination allows a person to envision alternative paths, creative solutions, and adjustments to strategy. While others see dead ends, the imaginative mind sees detours, opportunities hidden within difficulty. The subconscious mind responds to the images held in imagination with emotion. Fear, excitement, confidence, and doubt all intensify depending on the thoughts we cultivate. Imagination, when directed intentionally, channels emotion toward constructive action. This is why the combination of desire, imagination, and faith produces results that ordinary effort alone cannot achieve. Collaboration enhances imagination. The exchange of ideas with others can spark insights that would not appear in isolation. When combined with persistence and clarity, collective imagination produces innovation that far exceeds individual capacity. Masterminds and strategic partnerships are examples of how imagination multiplies when guided toward a common aim. Many of history's great achievements began as seemingly impossible ideas in the minds of persistent, disciplined thinkers. Every technological innovation, every artistic masterpiece, every entrepreneurial breakthrough originated as a clear, focused mental image before materialization. Those who dismiss imagination as trivial fail to reality itself begins as thought. The disciplined use of imagination transforms ordinary circumstances. It allows the mind to anticipate opportunities, to prepare for challenges, and to visualize solutions before they are required. This proactive use of imagination separates leaders from followers, creators from consumers, and achievers from spectators. Imagination must be nurtured daily. The mind functions like a muscle. The more it is exercised, the stronger it becomes. Reading, reflection, visualization, and deliberate creative thinking expand mental capacity. Over time, the individual develops an internal landscape rich with possibilities, ideas, and strategies. Ultimately, imagination bridges desire and action. It converts abstract goals into detailed mental plans, emotionally reinforces faith, and prepares the mind to recognize and act on opportunities. Without imagination, action lacks direction. Without action, imagination remains unfulfilled. When combined, they create a powerful engine for achievement, turning vision into reality, ideas into results, and dreams into measurable success. Decision is the cornerstone of all achievement. Without the ability to make firm, timely decisions, desire, knowledge, and imagination remain inert. Indecision is the silent enemy of progress. It allows doubt, fear, and external influence to dictate the direction of life. The individual who masters the art of decision gains power over circumstances, influence over outcomes, and momentum toward goals that others only wish for. Most people avoid decision because it carries responsibility. Making a choice means accepting consequences, facing uncertainty, and committing to action. To escape this discomfort, they delay, vacillate, and consult endlessly. Each moment of hesitation compounds the difficulty of moving forward. The longer decision is postponed, the more the mind grows accustomed to inaction. Successful people understand that hesitation is costly. Every opportunity has a window of time, and the failure to act decisively often results in missed potential. By making firm decisions promptly, a person signals to the subconscious mind, the environment, and even to others that their purpose is real, urgent, and non-negotiable. This alignment mobilizes resources, attracts cooperation, and reduces resistance. Decision is strengthened by clarity of purpose. When goals are well defined and priorities are established, the mind can evaluate options effectively. Choices become less about guesswork and more about alignment with the desired outcome. Clear thinking eliminates confusion and speeds the decision-making process. The decisive mind is deliberate, not impulsive. It weighs information, anticipates consequences, and acts with confidence. Repeated decision-making builds momentum. Each choice reinforces self-trust, strengthens willpower, and diminishes fear. The individual begins to see themselves as someone capable of controlling their destiny rather than reacting to circumstance. This identity shift changes how challenges are approached and how opportunities are recognized. Confidence grows exponentially with each decision made and executed. Indecision often stems from fear of criticism or failure. The decisive individual understands that mistakes are not endpoints, they are learning opportunities. Failure is analyzed, adjusted for, and applied as feedback. By decoupling action from perfection, decision-making becomes easier and more frequent. Courage grows in proportion to action taken, and experience sharpens judgment. Decision also protects the mind from external influence. People who hesitate are easily swayed by opinions, social pressure, or popular trends. Those who decide with conviction maintain internal authority, ensuring that direction and effort remain consistent with personal purpose rather than the whims of others. Influence is gained, not given away. Decisiveness drives action. Without a clear choice, energy is scattered, plans stall, and potential remains unrealized. The act of deciding creates a chain reaction. Thought aligns with intention, intention prompts action, and action produces results. This chain transforms abstract goals into concrete outcomes over time. The environment responds to decisive individuals. Others are drawn to confidence and clarity. Cooperation becomes easier to secure because the decisive person inspires trust and demonstrates competence. Opportunities that might otherwise go unnoticed are made visible through the clarity and boldness of decision. Decisions also influence the subconscious mind. Repeatedly making firm choices programs the mind to act rather than hesitate, reinforcing habits of determination, focus, and self-reliance. Over time, the mind begins to anticipate and prepare for decisions, making the process increasingly intuitive and effortless. Effective decision-making requires balance. It is not reckless action, nor is it endless deliberation. It is deliberate, informed, and resolute. It involves evaluating options, anticipating outcomes, trusting knowledge and experience, and then committing fully. The decisive mind accepts uncertainty, mitigates risk, and moves forward regardless of temporary discomfort. In essence, decision converts thought into action, intention into reality, and potential into achievement. It transforms abstract desire into focused effort, enables the individual to navigate obstacles with confidence. Those who master decision do not drift, they direct, they create, and they achieve. The ability to choose firmly and act decisively separates the successful from the merely aspiring, the proactive from the reactive, and the achievers from the spectators. Persistence of effort is the engine that transforms vision, knowledge, and desire into tangible results. It is the consistent application of energy toward a definite purpose, repeated day after day, regardless of obstacles, discouragement, or apparent lack of progress. Without persistent effort, even the clearest purpose and strongest desire remain unrealized. Many people possess ambition but fail because they lack the stamina to continue when immediate results do not appear. Effort alone is insufficient without persistence. Many begin with great enthusiasm, only to abandon the vows at the first sign of difficulty. Challenges, criticism, and temporary failures are inevitable. But persistence allows the individual to continue acting in alignment with their aim. It bridges the gap between initial intention and ultimate achievement. Persistence strengthens the mind. Each act of continued effort, despite adversity, reinforces mental toughness. The individual learns to tolerate discomfort, uncertainty, and delay, understanding that these are part of the natural process of growth. Persistence transforms frustration into experience, setbacks into instruction, and obstacles into opportunities for refinement. The power of persistent effort is compounded by clarity and purpose. When the mind knows exactly what it is working toward, actions are aligned and efficient. Random effort produces random results, but persistent effort focused on a definite aim creates momentum. Momentum reduces resistance, increases confidence, and accelerates progress. Habits are born through persistence. Repeated action eventually becomes automatic, requiring less conscious effort. This reduces reliance on motivation, which is unreliable and fluctuates. Discipline, habit, and persistent effort combine to create a system where progress continues even when enthusiasm wanes. Persistence also influences perception. Those who continue acting despite obstacles develop a mindset that sees opportunity rather than limitation. Challenges are interpreted as temporary hurdles rather than permanent barriers. The persistent individual becomes solution-focused, seeking ways to advance rather than excuses to retreat. Persistence is reinforced through feedback. Every small action, every incremental success, every lesson learned from failure strengthens confidence and forms future effort. Over time, the mind learns that consistent application of effort yields results, even if the process is slow or challenging. This understanding builds resilience and deepens commitment. External circumstances often test persistence. Resources may be limited, support may be absent, and outcomes may seem delayed. The individual who persists does not rely solely on favorable conditions. They create results despite adversity. This self-reliance multiplies effectiveness and divs achievers from those who give up prematurely. Persistence of effort also fosters innovation. As the mind repeatedly confronts challenges, it searches for alternative strategies, creative solutions, and more efficient methods. Each problem encountered during persistent action becomes a catalyst for growth and improvement. Over time, repeated application sharpens judgment, refines skills, and develops mastery. The subconscious mind responds to persistent effort. Continuous action signals commitment and belief, reinforcing confidence, focus, and resourcefulness. Habits of persistence gradually reprogram the mind to act proactively, anticipate challenges, and maintain momentum even under pressure. Finally, persistent effort compounds over time. Small daily actions accumulate into significant results, often far beyond initial expectation. Those who persist consistently find that obstacles that once seemed insurmountable are overcome, goals that once seemed distant are achieved, and potential that once seemed untapped is fully realized. Persistence is therefore not simply continued activity, it is deliberate, focused, and resilient action toward a defined aim. It transforms intention into reality, shapes character through challenge, and ensures that vision and desire are ultimately expressed as achievement. It is the defining quality that separates the successful from the merely hopeful, the accomplished from the dreamers, and the victorious from the hesitant. Leadership is not merely a title or a position. It is the ability to influence, inspire, and guide others toward a common objective. True leadership begins with personal mastery, self-discipline, clarity of purpose, persistence, and moral integrity. Without these qualities, attempts to lead others are superficial and ineffective. Leadership requires the capacity to project vision, instill confidence, and mobilize collective effort toward meaningful results. A great leader first leads themselves. They demonstrate consistency, accountability, and resilience. By managing their own thoughts, emotions, and actions, they model the behavior they expect from others. This authenticity builds trust, which is the foundation of influence. People follow those whose character aligns with their words and actions. Leadership is about creating alignment. It requires the ability to articulate a clear vision so that others understand not only what is to be achieved, but why it matters. When individuals grasp the purpose behind collective effort, motivation becomes internal rather than forced. Shared understanding transforms disparate effort into coordinated action, multiplying the impact of individual contributions. Influence is a critical aspect of leadership. Leaders shape decisions, attitudes, and behaviors without coercion. Influence arises from credibility, expertise, empathy, and the consistent demonstration of competence and integrity. Those who understand how to inspire others, rather than merely direct them, achieve outcomes far beyond what they could accomplish alone. Communication is the lifeblood of leadership. Clarity, consistency, and resonance in messaging ensure that intentions, strategies, and expectations are understood. Great leaders do not merely speak. They listen, observe, and adapt. They respond to feedback, adjust strategies when necessary, and create an environment where dialogue reinforces alignment rather than confusion. Leadership also demands courage. Difficult decisions, unpopular actions, and challenges to the status quo are inevitable. A true leader acts decisively, balancing risks and rewards, and accepting accountability for outcomes. Courage builds confidence in followers and establishes a culture where initiative and responsibility are valued. Vision is central to leadership. A leader must see the long-term destination clearly and convey that vision in a way that energizes and motivates others. Vision without action is mere imagination, but vision communicated effectively becomes a magnet for effort, collaboration, and innovation. Persistent emphasis on purpose ensures that momentum continues even during challenging periods. Leaders cultivate potential in others. They recognize skills, strengths, and talents that may be hidden or undeveloped. By mentoring, coaching, and providing opportunities, they expand the capabilities of those around them. Empowerment increases engagement, loyalty, and collective problem-solving capacity. Leadership is measured not only by personal success, but by the success it fosters in others. Ethics and integrity are non-negotiable in leadership. Decisions guided by principle create trust and stability. Leaders who compromise values for short-term gain erode influence, diminish morale, and destabilize organizations. Integrity attracts cooperation, strengthens relationships that ensures that achievements are sustainable. Adaptability is a hallmark of effective leadership. Circumstances, markets, and human dynamics are constantly changing. Leaders must assess situations, pivot strategies, and innovate solutions without losing sight of overarching objectives. Flexibility ensures that action remains productive and relevant, even when conditions are unpredictable. Leaders also understand the power of example. Actions speak louder than words. Demonstrating persistence, resilience, discipline, and ethical behavior inspires others to emulate these qualities. Influence grows exponentially when followers see their leader embody the principles they advocate. Emotional intelligence amplifies leadership effectiveness. Awareness of one's own emotions, understanding the emotions of others, and the ability to manage interpersonal dynamics create environments where collaboration thrives. Leaders with high emotional intelligence navigate conflict, inspire engagement, and maintain morale even in challenging situations. Decision-making is a central function of leadership. Leaders must weigh information, anticipate consequences, and act decisively. Indecision undermines confidence and stalls progress. By making informed, timely choices, leaders create momentum and demonstrate reliability. Leadership is about creating alignment between purpose, action, and results. By integrating vision, discipline, persistence, knowledge, and moral clarity, a leader transforms collective effort into achievement. Leadership multiplies influence, accelerates outcomes, and turns potential into realized success. Finally, true leadership leaves a legacy. It is not measured solely by immediate accomplishments, but by the lasting impact on people, organizations, and communities. Leaders cultivate others to lead, create systems that endure, and inspire values and behaviors that persist beyond their tenure. Through leadership, influence expands, purpose is magnified, and success becomes sustainable and transformative.